Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what part of the world you're joining us from. I'm sorry I'm late today. You need to have seen the way I was running. Lagos traffic will humble you. It will humble you as it did me today. But I'm here. At last, I made it. And hopefully, yay, our guest is in the house. Welcome, Fikayo. Welcome, everyone. I'm super harassed. Super harassed today because I had to jump in literally from traffic. Yeah, hi, Great Grace. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. So, today. We're talking about CVs. Yes. So, what do we need to know about our CVs? What do you need to know? Because the battery is a little low. So I just need to be sure that it's charging before we start so that we don't get thrown out. Okay. Here we are. So how has the day been for you? I hope you're okay. I hope you're fine. I hope you're not harassed by traffic as I have been. And I hope you're ready for today's conversation. Thank you, Fikayo, for being early, and thank you for waiting. I'm so sorry. We normally start on the dot of 6, but today Lagos traffic humbled me. So let's get right into it. If you're here live, tell us where you're doing. So let us know where you're joining us from. You can tell us in the chats. You're joining us from. My name is Brenda. I'm joining from Lagos. Let me know where you're joining us from, and so we can get right into today's conversation. Okay, Fikayo, I've sent you a request. Please let me know if you can see it and if you can join us. Okay? Yeah. Hi, everyone. Fikayo, let me know if you can see the request. If not, please send me. Okay? So today's conversation, like I said, is about welcome everyone. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for those that are following. We're super excited to have you here every time. Here, this is WGA, Women's Growth Academy, and this is our every Tuesday live program, which we call Women's Matters. Oh, Fikayo says Fikayo is unable to join. Wow. Okay. So maybe you should send me a request. I'm sending you a request and it says you're unable to join. So maybe you should send me a request and hopefully you can join that way. So today we're talking about CVs. And here's why I'm talking about. Yay! She made it in.
Hello.
Hi. Hi, Fikayo. So good to see you.
Good to see you too. I was trying to join from my computer, but the request wasn't coming through, so I had to switch
Oh,
to.
the phone. Right. Okay, because I was wondering, I say, please, only us started late. Then we're now going to be struggling with
I
joining
know.
again. Lord, please. So thank you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for waiting when we started a little late today, but thank you all for joining and we're excited. Let's just get right into the conversation. So why am I so interested about CV for women? I found the Nigerian job scene. It makes you do a number of things, right? And in these days of Japa, everybody is like many people are moving abroad, and they're suddenly discovering that it's a different ball game in the employment sector over there, and their CVs are no more up to scratch. I mean, I was having a chat with my sister the other day, and she said to me that she had done tons of applications and she wondered why she was never getting called until she realized that the problem was her CV, that there was a different way to, arranging the CV. So while we're talking about that today, I have with me the delectable Olufi Kayo. I haven't even read her profile. Like, I'm not even joking here with the kind of people I'm bringing to you. Like, we're bringing experts, we're bringing subject matter experts and people that just know what they're about. So Fikayo, tell us. Introduce yourself to us. I like people to say in their own words, you know. I mean, we're talking employment now. That's one of the things that people ask you. Well, tell me about yourself. I mean, I'm not putting you on the spot, but
You are. I am one of the things the most, like telling people about myself. It's just like, okay, I don't want to talk about myself, but yeah. Okay, so hello everyone.
Hi.
My name is Fikayo. So yeah, what about me? Yes, I am a biologist by training. I have worked in multiple places. I started out in the bank, went into core research, went into academia. I did a brief stint as a postdoc, and then I got into my present job, which is a design consulting. And then I'm like progressing to like do other things. So I sort of like just keep jumping from place to place anywhere that catches my fancy and like my interest. I'm like,
I love
I
it.
and really just try to like upskill to be able to match and fit into where I need to get next. So that's a little bit about me professionally. Okay, so I have a PhD, and on the
Hello. Slow down. Why are you rushing that? Why are you rushing that part? Is it easy? Please, people, did you hear her? She said she has a PhD. Hey, God bless. You people are too humble. Oh. The day I will get PhD. Oh God.
sorry,
Oh my
we
God.
are here for
Everybody will hear.
we'll shout about it really, but
Ah. Okay. Please go on.
on the CV side of things, I think I also started like paying more attention to, like, I really love languages. I like to like edit stuff. I would just pick up like I'll pick up a piece of writing and I'll just like, oh, I can word this better. I can like put a comma here. I can like paraphrase it properly. So like I'm sort of like the go-to editing person for my family members. Everybody knows they're like, oh, just have a look at this. And then over the years, I have had loads of experience like sending out applications and stuff, like right from probably when I was like in Nigeria. I didn't really do much of CV writing till I wanted to apply for my PhD. And then I was like, oh, I need to pay attention to this. I need to like, because I was obviously very, very keen to like not do the PhD in Nigeria. So I was like, oh, I need to reach out to like professors abroad. So I started looking at, okay, how can my CV come across like, oh, because as at that time I wanted to do a PhD in the sciences, and then most of my experience was in like banking. So,
Banking,
so
yes.
like, why will I even look at this person's CV and think she's a serious human being that wants to do research? So I sort of like started my CV and made sure I try to communicate as much as possible what my, whether I could bring the research. Because after my BSc in sciences, I never did anything in science. It was like coming back into sciences, you have to like show that, yeah,
Yeah.
look at this, at least I'm useful enough for you to like come onto your research. So it was sort of one of the things that was when I started paying attention. And then I think by the time my husband moved to the UK as well, he was trying to get a job, and we were like, oh, so let's see, you're bringing like a CV from Nigeria. We need to like get a professional to do like UK standard CV for us. So we found someone, and then he paid £150 for
Hey,
us to get done. And by the time he got the CV back, I looked at it and I was like, so this is what we paid £150 for.
like
And
I can totally do this.
yeah, personally, it didn't sit well with me. I was like, if I had known this was what we were going to get, I could have like paid a bit more attention and done something better. So I took the CV and then just rewarded it a bit more, and like, because I knew my husband, what his strengths were. So I tried to like sit with the CV, make sure I could communicate skills he had
Yeah.
to match the job description, and that was it. So that was just how I started. And after that, basically, if I saw anything to apply for, I would sit with this and make sure. So like I have multiple variations of my CV. What if it's a job that is geared towards academia, I will bring parts of my CV, parts of my experience that will like shine light on that aspect. If it was jobs towards engineering, I'll be like, okay, yeah, so these are the things I have done that is engineering specific. If it
I
was
like
something
that.
that like geared towards data analysis, I'll try to like highlight parts of my experiences that I have focused more on like the data aspect of things, just to be able to like communicate properly the skills I had. So that was basically how I got into like CVs. So I used to edit CVs, do for and start editing CVs for other people apart from all the other things I do as well.
Amazing, amazing. I just like the way that you know how things happen to you along in life, and you don't even know where it's going to take you to. Then you were just, editing your own CV to be able to get into the academia, because truly, as we were talking, like, hey, God, from banking to PhD in science, is like, who is going to even take you? So even the strength of being able to document, to be able to get to the point where they take a second look at the CV, I mean, that's powerful. So I really like the way that you fell into the CV writing business. And people, in fact, and let me even drop it here. She took a look at my CV, and by the time she jazzed up for me, like, I was like, is this me? Oh my goodness. I loved it. So yes, she offers this service. So if you are looking for somebody that's going to do your CV, please jump into her DM. But let's go back to the conversation of the day. So, you said, I mean, I love the fact that you are the go-to person for everybody. So you've had a lot of practice doing this for, even friends, family, and even earning out of it. So tell us, what are the things that we should be looking out for on our CV? What are the things that should not even be there on the CV? As in, we are Nigerian, so that's how we are. We know how we always write, I can work under pressure. Superwoman cape. I am able to work under pressure. They told me to trash that thing. So tell me,
Yeah.
what are the kind of things that we always put that should not even be smelling the CV, especially when we are going for international kind of jobs?
Okay. So two things. The first two main things the two takeaways that I would like people today on your CV, where you hold your CV, two things. Everything I have put on this CV, is it relevant? Is it relevant? And then the other thing you need to look at is the information I'm providing in this CV, does it have a potential to bias someone's judgment towards me? Because when you're applying for a job, basically your CV is the first thing they see. Apart from like Nigeria, where people put like just on CVs, your CV is like the first contact any recruiter has with you, or like anybody that's going to recruit you. So like when they look at your CV and immediately they're already biased against you, you shut
Yeah.
yourself. So like two things. Number one, what I'm putting here is irrelevant. As in, does it do they need to know what is on this? As in, do they need to know this particular information I'm putting on this CV? And another thing is like, does it have the potential to like bias someone else against me? So you need to like, I can see that. Yeah. So like basically, does it have a potential to bias someone against me? So I will start with let me start with the bias part of things now.
Okay.
As women, for instance, so as much as we like to say, oh, companies are fair in hiring processes, oh, everybody is like on the up and up, they will just pick your CV and they will like you. And it's not the way it works in real life.
True.
So if let's say, for instance, a company is struggling to like fill roles that, as I know in Nigeria, for instance, you're writing on your CV, you're writing female, you're writing your local government of origin, you're writing your age,
Date
you're
of
writing
birth.
your marital status. All those things are highly irrelevant for your CV. It's highly irrelevant to the role, except they are telling you to submit a CV for like marrying someone. You don't need your marital status on your CV. Like
Women,
nobody knows that.
are you hearing? The
So
first
another
day, the first day I was supposed to take out my date of birth, I was like, why? And I now realize that actually, sometimes even me, when I want to hire people and I see the date of birth, I always think, oh, it's too old for the role, or oh, this person's too young for the role, or
yeah.
oh,
So
and
basically,
it's a subconscious bias, but
yeah,
it does
it's
happen.
unconscious bias. Exactly. You need to take it out. Even I too, when I was in Nigeria, I used to do all those things like local government of origin, date of birth, and stuff. But like, it's highly relevant. I'll give you an example now. A company is struggling to fill a role. Everybody they filled in that role is number one, female. Number two, after like 2 months into the role, they're either getting married and leaving,
Or
or
going
like,
on maternity.
going on maternity. So, like, number one, if a recruiter is now trying to fill the role and sees that, oh, you're a female, you're single, or like, oh, you got married on it, so like you have potential to like be
So
popping out
born
baby,
another child.
they will basically just put your, and especially if you put your age, they're like, oh, this one is even of childbearing
That
age.
very
Please
age.
let let us start to decide. Those are the things that's one thing. Like, you've already shot yourself in the foot. Like they've not even
And they
seen.
didn't get a
They
chance to
don't know
meet
whether,
you.
yeah, they don't even know whether you are planning. You've given birth to all the children you want to give birth to, and you're not going. But like, they are automatically just biased against you because you've already said, oh, you're married, you're single or something. Like, there are people that will just look at the CV. It's not because they really want to, but like, a lot of people have unconscious bias going on.
It's so real.
The
It's so
recruiter might even have unconscious bias towards you because they probably worked with someone that has something similar to what you've written on your CV, and they're just like, this person will be like this other person I didn't
it
like, so
happened
let
to
us.
me. This thing happened to me. Hi, everyone that is joining. I'm
Yeah,
seeing you guys. I'm saying hi. This thing happened to me the other day. We were trying to get an intern in my office, and we got this interns the last set that we got were from a particular school. When the next students, guys, they brought them, like, from this school, they're not
yeah,
serious. Please go. And we
exactly.
didn't even get a chance to meet the people. I really felt so bad later, but at the time, I was like, well, I'm not having any more from this school. Thank you very much. And I think, oh dear. I mean, you have to put your school on a CV, for example.
Yeah,
That's not one of the things that is not
yeah,
relevant. But just imagine how much bias that held for me. And it was just an intern role, oh, not even something serious.
exactly.
So just imagine how much more, for age, for married. And truly, what you said about married, I mean, I worked in a place once where I was the only married woman in management position. And I did my best to make sure that I was not taking time off for stuff. As in, I was so committed. I was the first at work. I really used to deliver on my deliveries and everything because I just didn't want anybody to say, because it was a male-dominated firm. You can imagine. I don't want anybody to say, oh, because she's a woman, because she's married, because she has children. So I really, really did my best. Do you know, people of God, that when they wanted to hire, they said they are looking for, they
Men.
they don't want females that are married, or that, unless maybe a divorced female or one that is, I was like, hello. I said, I'm here, oh, like I'm listening. What?
Yeah,
And they're like, no, 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 not you, not you. I mean, not everybody can be like you. We're just saying that
exactly.
because
They'll be like, oh, not everybody can be like you, but we still wouldn't hire this person. Like, I completely get. Yeah,
oh my
yeah,
God. It touched
yeah,
me that day. I was like,
yeah,
what? And these are the things that we see every day.
yeah,
I mean, it's really crazy. But I really like that you pointed that out. And you would think that things that will cause bias are things like, okay, I'm from Imo States, I'm from. But I mean, even your age, even
yeah,
your marital status, wow.
yeah. So some of the other things that could cause unconscious bias is, for instance, so this one will be like probably much later in the CV. I know standard Nigerian CV format, you have like your age, your local government of origin. It works for most of these companies, but like if you are submitting your CV, you need to find out, is this what they really want? Like, do they
Mm-hmm.
specifically need this
Yeah,
information? If they don't,
yeah.
please take
Take
it
it out.
out. Like I mentioned initially, think relevance. Is it relevant to the
Mm-hmm.
role? If they want you to come and be a family life coordinator, for instance, like family life, you can put it there that you are married with like children because it is relevant to the role you are applying
Mm-hmm.
for. But if
Yeah,
it is not relevant to the role, please take it out.
I
Keep it.
agree.
Like, I am a proud wife and I am a proud mother, but
Mm-hmm.
I have never
We don't need
written
it.
married on my CV because nobody needs to know. When we are chatting at the interview, I would obviously bring it up because I am proud of it. I'm not ashamed, but at least get a foot in the door first before you
Yeah,
start shooting yourself in the leg. Like, basically,
I
that's
love
just,
it.
yeah.
Okay.
So some other things that could bias people against you, because I'm focusing on the bias aspect of things now.
Yeah.
You're putting stuff like religion, like your political affiliation. Say for instance, you're writing
Don't do that.
proud card member of APC or proud
APC.
card carrying
Don't do
member of
that.
PDP. So basically, the person that is looking at your CV is probably a very anti-APC person. You've already like taken yourself out of the equation because it's like, this one is enemy. Let me just put.
No, you. No,
So
no,
you
no.
don't do things like that. You might be a proud card carrying member. See, when you're applying for a job, for instance, in your CV, your personal life and your professional life should be able to like stand
Separately.
separately, interfering into each other. You can like leave the interview and be going to an APC rally. That's really you. It's not their business. But on
True.
your CV, take it out of the CV. So political affiliations, as much as possible, if it is possible, except for instance, you are actually applying for a role where you probably worked in a church or something, and you were maybe like they are project manager in the church, which is like a job experience
You
for
have
you.
to write
Don't
that. Yeah.
don't put things like, oh, I am. So for instance, in the CV, some people would write like hobbies and like interests, and then in your interest they are writing, in my spare time I like to go to Bible study, I like to like
Win souls. I want to win souls for Christ. What do you mean? I
exactly,
can't
like
write it.
those are
Why?
those are things that as much as it is good, even me, I like to win souls. I like to like show people I am a proud Christian. Like I tell people at work, I'm like, yeah, oh, I make sure like I spend time with God early in the morning before I come to work. He sets my day and stuff. Even though I say it's not something that I will put on my CV immediately, like, oh, so that you people will think I am a fanatic Christian. I heard the story of one lady, as in it was a very funny story, random story. I heard on her CV, I think she puts days unavailable. Tuesday evening, Thursday evening, because I go to choir practice.
Ah,
Like
auntie, but why?
you might as well just go and get a job in the choir and not even that. How will you put like on your CV when you are like talking interview? You can be like, oh, there are some
Who is
evenings I
calling
would
you in the evening, first of all? Is the job an evening job?
no
And
probably as in so people some
she
so
wants to
basically
be clear.
no
She just wants to be clear.
so I would clarify this. A lot of times when we want to present ourselves to the world, we want to like put our best foot forward. We want to say, oh, this is what I'm able to do. This is how I actually treat things. So you're trying to like showcase that, oh, you do stuff outside of just normal work. So you might think, oh, putting that kind of information on a CV, like, oh, my evenings, I do charity work, I do like church things, will like paint you in a light. It
In a
is
good
fine,
life.
you do those things. It will paint you in a good light, but not in this instance. Because you just need to think, and it will bring me back to what I said initially. Is it relevant?
Irrelevant. Did they ask you? Is the is the
Exactly.
is the job a church thing? I mean, and I like the way that you said that. Is it relevant? Like for example, a friend of mine works in a Christian school.
Yeah.
Now, if you were going to apply for a job in the Christian school, it would be relevant to state that you are Christian,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That would actually put you one foot in the door.
Yeah.
And even though they would not want to say that they discriminate, they would
Yeah.
happily pick a Christian over
Yeah.
a
That would
Muslim.
probably bias them positively
Positive
towards
bias,
some.
and that's
Yeah.
a good one.
It's a good one. You can put it, but like the negative part of it will be if the person recruiting for that role was a staunch Muslim, the person
No,
will
they
be like,
won't be nice. A
no,
Christian
I'm
school, remember?
saying if it wasn't like a Christian school,
Yes.
sometimes it would
So when
just
it's
make,
not, you
yeah,
cannot put it in there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's and I like what you said about having different CVs for different where you're applying in different places. I found it interesting that you've done so much in different industries. We're going to come back to talk about that. How do you just pivot up and down? I mean, I'd love to do it, but
okay,
I like how you said you should have a different CV. I remember there was a time that when I wanted to start working again, I worked for like let me say 10 straight years, and then I took some time off work. I took some time off to have my last baby, just settle some things in the house, and I started to do some things on my own. I started a business and all of that. When I was ready to come back to work, I realized that okay, I need to touch up my CV again. So as I was writing the cover letter, I was applying for one role, and I had written it, presenting myself, sieving through my experience to find what was relevant to them, and I put it together. And I'd done so much work, and I felt, after all this work, in short, there was another role. Let me even do another one. So I know I took the letter again, and I found that it was quite interesting. And if you have to be able to present yourself based on what they are
yeah,
looking for.
yeah.
And let's talk a bit about that.
Right. So as I mentioned earlier, when you're putting together your CV, you have various experiences. So one thing, for instance, everybody like I mentioned earlier, everybody likes to like paint themselves in the best light. Oh, I have worked here, I have worked there. For instance, during your internship, the only thing you did during IT was probably carry someone's plate,
Make up.
make coffee, went to buy food and stuff. It is absolutely there is no skill that you acquired during that period that
I
is
used to
back
I used to
what you're
write my
applying for.
internship on my CV, fa.
No, so for me, I think I started out, I used to put my internship on my CV because I think I still did it when I was applying to get my PhD positions. Why? Because I did it in a science, sort of like a science background. So it was like
Yeah,
a bit
that
of
was
like,
relevant.
yeah, so it was relevant. So I just sort of like touched on a few of that was the first time I put that particular experience on my CV. If you check my CV now, I can't even remember the last time I put it anywhere because it's not relevant in the grand scheme of things that have come after that. So you need to like look through what the job description is. When you see the job description, then you sit down and think, oh, so what are the things they require on this job that it would be useful for me to highlight based off of my previous experiences. So those are the experiences that you bring forward. So like I sort of, if I'm structuring your CV for you, for instance, you have multiple experiences, just the way I am. Like I had banking experience. Today, I'll tell you part of the reasons why I applied for a PhD
Yeah.
in research was because I was like, oh, when I finish the PhD, I'll come back, I'll get a job in Bank of Industry. I'm still targeting going back to banking. Banking was like,
Wow.
so basically, because by the time I come back to come and take the job in Bank of Industry, I'll be like, I have worked in a commercial banking sector, I have gone into research, I have done industrial research, so I can merge all
You
my
can now tie it
experiences.
all
I
together.
put I tie it all together, come and be the best person to fit into this particular
You
role. So you need
you go and collect their MD positions, their
so
father.
like that's just my target. That's me. That's part of like the things I have in place, and all my experiences are up to date. Are like this thing. When it's time for me to bring it out, I will just structure
Yeah,
it.
I
There are
love it.
other times when I'm structuring people's CVs and they have multiple sort of experiences like that. What I do is I write relevant experience. Like so, there are different formats of CVs. You can do like a skills-based CV, like oh these are the relevant skills I have. You put it ahead. You can do most of the times if you're having an education based CV, that's probably because you don't have too much work experience, or let's say for instance your education is like key. For instance, if you were like a doctor, they need to see that school that you went to, that yes
It
it's Harvard. It has to be an education based
was,
CV
it
so that
was not
anybody
easy.
that it will like be interested. First things first, like you catch them like yes this person is like they know what they're doing. But if it's not an education based CV, if it says skills
Experience of it.
experience based CV, for instance, so you look at all your experiences. If some of the experiences are not particularly industry relevant, pick the ones that are relevant. You write it as relevant work experience, but it doesn't mean the other experiences don't matter. You can still put them in and make sure you highlight the things you did on that role, like your function on the role, to sort of like match up with what they have. So I'll give you an example. By the time I was applying for my current role is in an engineering designing consultancy. So I looked at the job description. I had started on, no, I think I hadn't started my postdoc when I applied for the job. It was just one of my random CVs. So like up until that point, most of my experiences was like teaching experience. Like I was teaching while I was doing a PhD. I was doing, so like it was top of my priority experiences was like teaching. But then I looked at the job description. They wanted someone that had like interactive interpersonal skills, like customer relations. I went to dig up my GTB experience, like, oh, I was an account officer. I used to like deal with customers. Do you
Yes, so
understand?
I was
So,
chasing customers
yeah, so
then.
like I put it forefront ahead of like the, because if anybody was looking at the CV and they were looking like this one is a teacher, what do we need a teacher for in this role? But I was like, me, I have managed customers account up to XXX thousands of dollars. Do you understand? Like, so I can manage. If you want a consultant that will handle client information and stuff,
Yeah,
obviously I have previous experience. In that case, it was a relevant
yeah,
experience. This is
yeah.
banking, even though it was like engineering. I brought out my banking
But the
experience.
skill that you got
Yeah,
there, the experience,
exactly.
the
I brought
actual
out my
experience.
banking experience to like showcase myself in an engineering context.
I love it.
So those are the ways you can like, you think you sit through the CV and be like, okay, so what have I done that I can like make sure they will see that I have this skill. It really works really. And for me, it's just one of the exciting things when I get like a job description. I'm like, okay, we need to think through this now. How
Hey
will
God.
we best
See the way I'm looking at you. So when we see job description, we should not just be looking at it and skimming through and
no,
going, mm-mm.
absolutely not. See
Wow.
the job description, like the first expo the company gives you, like when you're going for the, I think since I started looking at job descriptions a lot differently, I can tell you categorically I've never sent out my CV and not at least gotten shortlisted. I might get to the face-to-face interview and then I'll be saying rubbish, but I have never sent it and not gotten shortlisted
So
because
it's like you have expo to the answer.
exactly, like I know already. I can get a feel from like the job description. You can get a feel of
What
why
they're
did you
looking for.
feel like this is the person they are looking for. So once you put yourself forward as me, everything you're looking for, I
I
have
got
it.
it.
Number one, they will shortlist you. Like, okay, let us even hear from this person. Let us, and one foot in the door is already like 90% of the success. Like you're already almost there. So it just really depends on what, how to know when to use certain information that you have. Really, that's just it.
I really like this. Thank you so much for what you just said. I really like the fact that how you explained using a banking experience to get a job in an engineering firm. No, normally we would think, hey, God, I don't have any relevant experience. And that's why I said I wanted you to talk about how you've been pivoting in industries and you just quietly slips that in. So I'm going to draw you back there. And,
Uh,
and, and I like that means I'm sitting out here and I'm thinking, well, I could totally do many more things, right?
Absolutely.
Because I sit down and I look at the varied items of work I've done, even in the architecture, construction, real estate space, and I can actually take that into another space because
Yeah.
it's the same
So
principles.
basically, in the workspace now, a lot of employers look for transferable skills. As
Mm,
much as your certificate is important, what is importanter, this is not a
important.
correct word, but the importanter
Important.
is your transferable skills. Like, how can you like transfer the skills you have gotten in one place to another? Because a lot of times, most of the employers, as long as they will train you, they want you to be able to be a self-starter, do some certain things on your own. So like you're not starting a job and everybody or automatically is like looking at you like, okay, so we need to teach her how to press, how to use Excel. We need to teach her how to like do PowerPoint properly. They are looking at how you can like bring your transferable skills from wherever you're coming from to bear on what you are going to offer them. Like while they will train you, a lot of times the reason why they're hiring you is because it's still cheaper for them to hire someone that already has
Some
existing
experience.
instead of
Yeah.
like training. They could easily train interns within their company and be like,
But it takes
intern,
years.
you are cheaper, let's train you and you do the job. But because you can bring experience, you can bring transferable skills like experience on the job, what you learned from your previous job, you just remember, you're like, I know how I used to handle this difficult customer, let me come here. Those are the things they're hiring you for. So you need to be able to like showcase your transferable skills. Like, yes, my skills, so even though it's not in this industry, it is still very relevant to you.
And who would have thought? It always seems to me like you only have the interview to have to showcase that. But now you are saying to us that even on your CV, in fact, it's very important to show it on your CV so that you can even get shortlisted. Because how do you get to the interview to go and start telling them what you
I
can do?
will, I will
Oh,
circle case of bias. When you are being shortlisted, before anybody sees you in an interview, they've already made up like half of their mind whether they would even hire you or not. So like half of the job is done. I am guilty of it. Like from someone's CV, I've already fallen in love with the person.
I
I'm like,
know.
oh, I can't wait.
Oh.
I can't wait to like meet this person. Like, oh, I'm excited to like meet this
And
person.
when you meet those people, you'll be asking them questions that should help them.
Ex-
They're like, I
God
saw
bless
something
you.
in your
God
CV. You
bless
now
you.
be
Like
asking them, tell
there
me
are times.
about this time so that the person can shine, so that you can take the
God bless.
person. I know what you mean.
Oh, God bless you. Basically, that's just it. Like, I'm looking at someone's CV and I'm already excited. Like, this person, I can't wait to meet them. Like, the person sounds like an exciting person I would love to work with. So, like, you're sitting in the interview, you're nodding, you're telling them, like, carry on, like this.
Yeah.
So, but like, if you already read a CV and then you're like, this person will just go through the motions. Number one, you've already made up your mind halfway. Like this person, they should just say one wrong thing like this. That's what you capitalize on when it's time. Because we do this thing like after the interview process. Everything in interview, I'll tell a long story. So part of the things I do at work as well is like we interview people. Like there was a particular role we were interviewing people for. Like basically, it came down to like the person's interaction. So a lot of by the time we were doing like the recap after the interview process, all of us that were involved in the interview, they called people that took the person to lunch. They called, like you took the person to lunch. The person doesn't even
Wow.
think they're interviewed. Like they're
During
looking at the person.
the
This,
lunch.
this is the question the person was asking during the lunch, like
Hey.
just to give you a mindset of how they think. Then there was so like by the time we sat down and then we were like recapping, like okay, let's make a decision which candidate are we going for. My people of God, it boils down to basically just how people felt. So sometimes it's not because like how they felt just because a lot of people had fallen in love with one candidate from the CV, and then the candidate came and they gave them the opportunity to shine. Meanwhile, the other person, I would tell you, like, this one is like confidential information. The candidates that people would have normally gone for, that would be like your instinctive reaction. This candidate had the postdoc degree, like 7 years postdoc experience, patent and stuff. So like you would think, oh, automatically this is the candidate. The one that we eventually settled for had only BSc and industry experience. Look at parity. So like,
that Lord, give me favor.
It is favor. So for your favor to shine, it has to even come from like how you present yourself. They've not even seen you physically, they've only seen your CV. Apart from people like us that like are in the Western world, and from my name, you already know I am not from here. So you're expecting to see a black person. A white person, like the name can be Jamie something. Jamie can be a boy, it can be a girl. So you don't put whether you are female or male. That already removes that bias, like, oh, I don't want to see a man. Or until the person appears for the interview, you don't know what the person looks like. Exactly. So at that point is until the person shows up before you know whether Jamie was a man or Jamie is a woman. So you need to like think through stuff like that. Like, it's very, very important. Like,
this conversation is giving me goosebumps. Like, I know exactly what you're talking about. I mean, we interviewed somebody recently for a role. It was a commercial manager. So we got two guys. And the first one that came from the CV, I was already leaning towards one, like you said, even from the CV, you just lean towards because, this is my guy. Now, when they decided to speak, the one I was leaning towards, he was not even articulate. Like, hello, sir, how are you going to help me sell markets? You cannot. I was not trying to help him. Like, okay, what would you ask? What information would you be looking for if you wanted to? We were trying to, it was a company that wants to be selling, building elements like doors, windows, and stuff. So I asked him a simple question to say, okay, if you wanted to market a door, somebody wanted to buy a door from you, I want you to create a simple Google form, which will take the information that you need to prepare a quote. What would you ask for? Give me 5 things. The guy was confused. I say, think about it. And I even gave him number 1. I say, for example, maybe you ask for the quantity they want to buy. Okay, what else? The guy maybe answered one more. I was like, trying to help him. I can't help you again at this point. I left him.
Yeah.
The other guy, his CV did not even reach anywhere. Like, he did not know anything. In fact, his CV was just add to the number of people who want to interview. When he came in, his presence alone, oh boy, we were like, oh, must see somebody. He spoke very well. He convinced us. He answered our questions, and I was like, we looked at each other after the interview, like, guys, what do you think?
Like, and I think highly of him. Like, even you'll be repenting in your heart. You'll be repenting.
All of us were like, oh my God, that's the candidate. Yeah. I was like, how the other guy that looked so good on paper couldn't even, follow up. And so where is the place of, I don't even know what that is. Okay, we're talking CV today. Let's leave interview. But let's focus. Because honestly, the CVs are what gets you into the door.
Yeah.
Another day we can talk about interviews. We can talk about how to, present yourself and carry yourself and all that. We can talk about, but we need to first get a foot in the door. Many people are applying. If you go on LinkedIn, they will send you lots of apply for this, and you are applying and you're not getting any call back, and you're wondering, what am I doing wrong? So that is why we're having this conversation today, to say, guys, there's a lot you're putting on your CV that is not correct. If you're just joining us, we said 2 main things. Number 1, ask yourself, what I'm putting on my CV, is it relevant? Is it relevant? They want to know. If you're not applying for a church position, you don't need to mention that you're a Christian. Nobody wants to know. Tell me about references. The second thing you said was that, is he capable of causing bias against you? So those are the things we said. If you came late, you better go back and watch the replay. I want to know about references. Somebody said to me that you may write references available on request. It's not necessary to list out your references. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. So my opinion, your reference doesn't carry enough like way the interviewing process. You don't write anybody's name. Say, for instance, for referencing now, I had Sanwo-Olu in my back pocket. I can easily just say, okay, I'm an architect. I want to get this job. I can be like, oh, references. I can list it there, like, oh, current governor of Lagos State on my CV. reference. That one, because it will sway the people like, oh, yeah,
Guy
has weight.
can, guy
But
can
like,
help us.
if your reference is not some, absolutely, my default answer is you don't need to add references. When they need your references, they would ask you to provide references, and that's another thing people need to think about. Think through who you're asking to refer you. Because you will just be like, I have worked in this company. This person can reference me. Oh my
When they
word. You will shoot yourself.
call them.
If you don't have a good relationship with the person, please
Don't do
respect
it.
yourself. Not,
Don't do it.
don't go and write someone that you are not even sure what the person would say about you. If you
True.
know the feedback you keep getting from this person is not like the best of feedback, if you are rating feedback 1 to 10, the person constantly gives you 5. There is no way the person will reference you and will give you a reference that will be 10 or will give you a reference that will be 9. So don't shoot yourself in the foot. Leave the referencing bit until you get to that point when you have to reference, when they say, okay, bring the references,
Yeah.
and then you can provide that information. One thing I haven't mentioned is your CV is professional. So part of the things you put on your CV, apart from your name obviously is the name you were born with.
Yeah.
You can't do that. But some people, their email addresses. Please, my people, you will you will
Don't go
see
and
email
put
address.
fab mom forever at
No, no, you
yahoo.com.
will see email address pretty chick forever. Pretty chick forever at yahoo.com. Please, in the name of
Today,
God, go
open
check
a Gmail with your name.
exactly with your name.
Today.
Pretty chick forever.com.
What
Or
is
like, I am a child of God, I am an overcomer.com. Please, let us,
repent today?
please, please. Those are things that are absolutely not
Not
professional
acceptable.
enough, not relevant enough. Some other things, some people would say, yes, my CV, I need to like jazz up this CV, I need to make it important. And then you fall into the trap of like using buzzwords, as in all those words that people be like, a self-starter, a this one, that one, anything that is your
I
own
say
opinion,
ability to work under pressure.
anything that is your own opinion, that you have ability to work under pressure. You don't need to like write it on your CV. When you get to the job and they put you under pressure, you would show.
Sure.
You will show whether you can work under pressure or not. So please, those things, as much as it's good to like showcase yourself, oh, I get it is your opinion. Like, it is your personal opinion and probably the opinion of other people that have worked with you. So except the person is like referring
We don't. So,
like, your
we
referee can
talk about, we
write those
don't.
things. Your referee can write it and be like, oh, Fikayo is good, she can work under pressure. That is someone else saying it, but
Not
it
you
is
to
not
be saying
it
it.
is not you writing it on your CV like, oh, I can work under pressure.
Because
I can I
it
can
always happens that people that say it are the ones that can't.
they can't. No, they're just, and like you've seen something, like you've seen other people's CV. Oh, this is how my friend wrote her CV. Me
You
too, I
don't
need.
go and copy it.
Please do not write anything you are not prepared to defend. With your life, do not write anything you're not prepared to defend on your CV. Take for instance, you see all of you are accountants. You see a fellow accountant that you've taken their CV as template. The person writes probably a software tool that they use normally. You don't know about the software tool, but you're like, it would be good for me to add it.
Hey,
Like
why?
yeah, if you add it and you can't defend it, get to the
The
interview.
problem.
Oh, so tell me, how do you use the MySQL? How do you use MySQL? And then you are looking like, what is
My,
MySQL?
you even
Because
be
you
asking
copied
yourself,
somebody else's
did I
CV.
put it in my CV? What
Yeah.
is my? Why are they asking me this question? Because you've forgotten that you lifted it.
There's a question here. It says, what should be the top introduction on my CV? Are skills and expertise relevant? It absolutely depends on the job description. So like, basically, when you are starting out on the CV, you think so like, when they write the job description, they will ask you like, oh, you will see some people, they're like 5 years previous experience. That kind of job. They are very, very experienced. Yeah, oh, God, that's what they want to see. So that kind of thing, you start with like your expertise, how relevant your expertise is. Like, okay, how relevant your previous experiences have been to the particular role you're applying for. Some of them, like you said, you're an architect, for instance, your CV is a skills-based CV because you have, apart from your experience, the skills you have will like make you transverse across different positions in the field. Say, for instance, you have management skills. You have, even if apart from having your um, training based skills, certificates and relevancies, you also have other skills that will make you relevant to whatever role you're applying for. Like, for instance, I put on my CV, I'm like project management. I haven't exactly done a particular project management role, but my PhD, I managed my project, so I am a,
By the grace of God, though.
so I am a project manager and I can defend it. What are the things required for a project manager? I can say it because I can defend it. So it is on my CV. If I can't defend it, if I'm writing, oh, I am a business analyst and I don't know what a business
What
analyst
they
does,
do.
it is
Voila.
like some people would write blatant lies on their CV and you'd be like, hey, fear God, fear God.
See the lie that Fab Mom has shared with us. I raised $3 billion funding for my company. How? Where did you raise it from? Oh, yeah, come and raise
No,
for us now.
no, if you can defend it, if you can say XYZ company, while I was working there, I was on a project that we delivered um $500 million worth of projects. If you can defend it, even if you weren't the one that went to bring the 500 million, if you were on the team, you had experience managing sort of
Absolutely.
like a big project like that. As long as you can defend it, it is fine on your CV. But when you are putting blatant lies because the person's CV template that you are following had it, please
Don't do
fear
that.
God, because you will just shoot yourself in the foot and people would watch you that why did this person.
But why,
Yeah,
Auntie? Why?
yeah, yeah,
Okay, I have another question from Oshone. She says, if a major part of your experience was as an entrepreneur,
yeah.
how do you use that in the CV?
Oh, you can, absolutely. So one thing I forgot to mention, since we're like women's matters, so for instance, you took a career break, it is not absolutely necessary for you to put that on your CV. Putting things like, oh, I took 5 years off to take care of my budding young family, please take it.
Take it out. It's not
It is,
relevant.
take it out.
It's
It is
under
not relevant.
irrelevant.
It is under irrelevance. The reason I would say this is career breaks are allowed. Even people here in the Western world, they do it. Career breaks are allowed.
Okay.
So basically, you can sort of like structure your CV in such a way that the break, if you really want to, number one, my default answer is resist the urge to shalaye. Like, they
Overexplain.
don't need to know why you were away for so long. If they ask you, fine, then come up with examples of what you did during that break that shows relevant skills to what you're applying for. If it is not relevant, you just tell them you had personal issues you were dealing with. Simple. You don't need to like write it. For the question of like if you were an entrepreneur, this is very relevant in the sense that it was the same thing with my husband. He used to work in the bank and then he was running his own business and he moved to the UK. So like someone that was an entrepreneur for a bunch of years and then came to here and wanted to start getting a job in project management and stuff. So we had to sit down and articulate what he did as an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
write it in such a way that it highlighted all the skills while doing that part. While he was running his own business, we highlighted so that it was relevant to what he would eventually be doing. So, like a
Absolutely.
bunch of your experiences is it is experience. You
Experience is
did it.
experience.
You were working. You were learning.
When you were
Even when
in
when,
entrepreneurship, you
when
were even doing everything. You were doing finance, doing
yeah,
HR, doing everything.
when people were disappointing you, when your vendors weren't delivering, you were learning. You were
Yeah.
learning. It's your experience,
Yes.
so it is highly relevant.
Absolutely.
You can still put it. Yeah, absolutely.
I remember there was a time when I had just started out working and I didn't really have a lot of work experience. I actually, in an interview, explained the experience I got from working in my mother's
Yeah,
restaurant. It was, I think it was some sort of sales job or something. And I said to them, how I had learned to manage customers. And yeah, it was amazing. In fact, they left all my other work experience and
you said
sat
chief
down on that one.
lead officer. You were multi-talented,
They sat, they
multi-involved. Like
sat on that
you
one
just
and they were
managed
asking
everything.
me
It was
questions.
it was highly relevant.
And that
Very,
was the time of my life that I really
yeah,
detested. Like I was so upset with my mother for putting me in the shop when all my other siblings were, nobody else wanted to go, everybody was running away, and they just tied me to that shop that you will go there. So imagine having the chance to experience, and people were like, look at me like, wow, oh, you did that. Oh, and I said, the thing that entered my body said now, me too now,
yeah,
storyteller. Oh,
yeah,
my enter storyteller mode. I gave them and
yeah,
it was really, really useful, and it changed my way of looking at everything that has ever happened to me. So even the career break that I took,
yeah.
you know when I present my CV, I write it as time when I was working at my own personal
Yeah,
company. That's how I write it.
yeah.
And then if you get to ask me what I was doing then, I will tell you.
Plain.
I
Yeah.
will tell you,
Your CV
absolutely.
is just like the first snapshot. It's just like presenting a picture, like the first snapshot of people to just make up their mind about you. Like, do we
Yeah.
even want to see this person? Do we want to talk to her?
Mhm.
So, as much as possible, make it relevant. Relevance. See, if it is not, think of yourself as a product,
Yeah.
as a product. Let's say, for instance, I am paracetamol, and then I am marketing myself to you like, oh, this is paracetamol. I can solve your headache problem. But then the person that I'm talking to
It's
is
talking
probably dealing with
about
stomach. The
stomach
person
pain.
will look at me.
I
The
want Bosco
person will
pan.
look at me like, I know you are a product, but you are not the exact
Like
product I require.
I need.
So you need to think of yourself as a product. I am marketing myself. Am I relevant to this person? Like, basically make yourself relevant. Like, I can now come and be like, you see, this is my paracetamol. Oh. As much as I am paracetamol, I'm mainly for headache.
Mm.
Sometimes the way I relieve your pain, your stomach pain self will go.
It will
And then the
follow and go.
person will consider you like, oh, maybe this paracetamol might work for my stomach ache too.
Maybe
Let me just
it's Gbogbo Nishe.
exactly. So you need to like be able to like hammer the relevance. See, if
Mm.
you don't take away anything from this talk today, relevance and on
Fire.
unconscious bias, take it out. Like put relevance in and unconscious bias. Anything that
Wow.
can body against you, just take it out. It's not real. It's not necessary.
I have a story about bias very quickly before we round up. There was something, it was the time I interviewed somewhere and they had asked for a female in the role and they wanted a single person, you know. And I was wondering, they wanted 15 years experience. I wanted a single female. I was like, these people, they don't like progressive people. Who, how would I have 15 years experience as a female and not be
And
married? That's wickedness. So anyway, I applied anyway. Me that I'm very, very married with 4 children. I shall applied. They were so excited about my experience and everything. They were like, okay, so when I got to the interview, started to talk, and they hadn't even asked me. They just said, okay, are you married? I said yes, and they didn't say anything, so they kept talking. And I now asked them. I said, sorry, I'm very curious. Why did you ask for a single person for this role? I'm just curious. And they said, oh, there's a traveling role. I said, in that case, even me too, I don't want. You
mm-hmm.
know, and they were like, how many children do you have? I said, four. They said, they say it's true.
That's bad.
You know,
They're biased against you. They think you can't do the role all because
immediately, immediately, like, But guess what? This very next week, I interviewed somewhere else. And we got talking. I said, oh, you're married. I said, how many children do you have? I said, I have 4 children. And the lady in the panel was like, 4 children. You are the person for us. I was like, how? She said, it immediately tells me that you can handle pressure.
yeah.
See, I have 2 children. I want to run away from my house. I want to run. Sometimes I want to just hide under the bed. You have 4. You are the person for us.
Let me also add something. Let me also add something to you. It's the same thing. For instance, my current role, while I was applying, and then obviously I didn't put there that I'm a mother, I'm a something, blah blah blah. But when we got to the interview, they were asking me, so like, um, we just got talking, and it got to like, how can you multitask? And I was like, me, a whole multitasking expert. I told them I was like, while I was doing my PhD, I was working 2 part-time jobs. I was mainly single parenting and I was pregnant. So tell me how I can multitask and I finished at the same time. So like, who else do you want? How do you want me to prove to you that I can multitask? You can
Wow.
slip those stuff in, but I didn't go with my
You
CV.
don't lead with them.
You
Yes.
need without, you can still showcase what you have with your experiences that are not written on your CV. So you don't have to write everything. While I was writing up the CV, it wasn't important for me to put that information there. But like when you get to interview is like think of it this way, like, oh, you have the opportunity, free reign, as long as it is relevant to what
Relevant.
you're talking about. They didn't ask you, how can you show me you can handle a customer? And you're telling them, oh, I have 4 kids at home. Your 4 kids are not your
Are
customers.
they your customer?
Relevant.
Did they drag you for money that they paid you that you didn't deliver?
Exactly.
Madam, please,
Oh,
let's be
my
serious here.
response going to be relevant to this. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I love it. Thank you so much. And we have to get you back again because we have to come and talk about interview.
Well,
And on that day, maybe it's like 2 people or it's going to be a full panel because I'm loving these conversations and I know that so many people are taking away a lot from it because you know how we know how it is that we always have to people are in between jobs, people want more, people are looking for better, people are trying to travel out, people are trying to change location, whatever it is wherever you are at in the job search. We just wanted to just do this to help you to get started. Of course, if you know that you are like so confused, you don't know where to start, you can reach out to our guest, Olufikayo O. Just send her a DM and she's ready to help you. She helped me with my CV. It was amazing. Like as soon as I just arranged that CV like that, almost if you see the next application I did, I got called for interview. Like, come on, please, you guys go and use her services. I won't even say more than that. But thank you so much. It was such an amazing and enlightening conversation today. When I even wrote that topic, I didn't even know what I was thinking, to be honest. But I love how you've been able to break it down to two memorable things that we can take away from today's call. That, whatever you're putting in your CV, ask yourself, is it relevant to what they're looking for? And two, will it cause bias? And that bias was very well broken down by you. So even if we were thinking that, what is it safe? We are able to, we've been able to learn very clearly what we should stay away from. Because as women, there are many things that will make them biased against you. So many. Just being a woman is already biased.
Like a
You're
point
going
of
to marry, you're going to have children, you're going to go on maternity, you're going to be taking excuse. One of my organs will say, they always take excuse, my baby is sick, my husband is sick, my this is sick. Please, we don't want women. There's already a stack of biases against you. So don't add to it.
don't
Right?
put
So
don't put your sex, don't put female.
don't
When
put
you
female.
if you are blessed to have a name that is like unisex, you are
I know.
blessed.
Me, my
Like
own name is Brenda.
no,
Although many people still call me Mr. Brenda in
no.
emails. So they don't
So
even
for
know.
instance, if you were hearing Tokwe, Tokwe is a unisex name.
Yes.
So like until you appear at the interview and then your own Tokwe is female. Don't shoot yourself in the foot and go and be writing female. So
Don't leave with it.
like
Yeah.
little things you might think, even me, a proud card carrying member, please put it in your card and put it at home in your box. They don't need to know
Even
that.
Christianity, don't put it. Marriage, don't put it. State of origin, excuse me,
Your
ma,
local
we don't want to know.
government.
Local
You might put
government.
your local government and the person that wants to shortlist you, the person that made them upset for
Or
getting
broke his
job
heart.
was from your local
The
government.
girl that broke his heart.
It might just exactly it might just be the last straw that will break your own camel's back. You know absolutely nothing, but then you're paying for someone else's thing.
Absolutely.
Please, let's not do that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for everyone who joined today. Thank you for those who asked amazing questions, and Fikaya was able to do justice to them. I mean, I really, really enjoyed today's conversation. Even me, I'm going to go and look at my CV again, even though I know that I've paid money and I've
There's one
gotten that.
question: is it true
Then I
that Nigerians
in the
no,
diaspora, I need to change
absolutely
their
not.
name.
Me, I don't even have English name, so I can't change my name. I use my Olufikayo like that. You don't need to change your
Yeah,
name.
you don't
Like,
need to.
yeah, you don't need to. Except you have like an English name, it's fine. But like, go with your name because also need to like go as your true self. If someone is unwilling to hire you because you're black or because it's not the place you want to be anyway. So if
Yeah.
I can't show up as myself, as my Olufikayo, like basically I'm attending interviews and the first question I'm getting is, please correct me if I'm wrong.
Can you pronounce that name?
How do I pronounce your name? And I tell them like on my LinkedIn is there. So like if you before interview, if you go to my
You
LinkedIn,
can
my
click
LinkedIn, I pronounced
the
my name
voice.
on
Yeah.
LinkedIn. So you can listen to how to pronounce. And then I don't take offense. Like
No.
I don't take offense if you ask me pronounce your name, I will tell you Olufikayo, but like you can call me Fikayo. I don't even shorten it to Fiki. Like it's
Yeah.
basically if you can't call
Fikayo
me
is okay.
Fikayo, please
I
just leave
can't
the
help you. My
name.
friend's name is Abimbola. She says that they call her Abim in the office.
Yeah.
She says,
No, so
she said, you can call me Abims. From Abims, they started calling her Abi.
yeah.
As in, they are like, she's like, she's just tired of them. Say, well, just call what you can.
Yeah.
That's my name. So
Yeah.
when you want to write that in full, you know that it's Abimbola. Any day you want to call me Abi, I will answer you, no problem.
Yeah.
We'll all be all right.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just give and take. It's the same way that, I have a strong surname. So thankfully, my parents gave me an English name. So at least I'm able to balance it. If I had a very short and nice name, I'll use my native name with all pride. Yeah, but
I don't even have English name. So except I want to go and do
my
new name.
my children have no English names, and they are stuck with that surname as well. So at least I try to make the girls have some nice sounding names. I remember when I put my daughter in her first school, preschool, they asked what's her name. I said Esme, and like Esme, what's the short form? I said Esme. What should we call her? Esme.
Esime.
And
Yeah.
they were like,
Don't be
okay,
lazy. Don't be
don't be
like
lazy.
don't
It's
be lazy.
three syllables. Esme, what is it, Auntie? So that's how it stopped. So even her growing up was always saying, no, my name is not Essay. Don't call me Essay. My name is Esme. Call me
Yeah.
Esme. And
Yeah.
that's it. So we at least made the names pronounceable.
Yeah.
So we know the name we already had.
Yeah.
So please just bear with us with our first name, but it's still your native name. Go as you are.
Yeah.
You don't have to change your name. So he said, Chuku, Pam, you will be teaching them. See, Oyinbo pronounce Russian names. Russian names are harder than ours. And they pronounce them. They pronounce the Greek names, all of those funny names, they will
all those
pronounce it.
all
So keep
those
teaching them.
all those northern Irish names and stuff, they pronounce it perfectly. So why would my own name be that
You will
difficult for you people?
learn.
Pronounce it.
You will
So
learn.
yeah,
After, if I was a tennis star or a
you
football
will
star,
learn my name.
they'll prepare my name before they come on air
Yeah.
to call it. So it's not a joke. Please, they should learn it.
Yeah.
The way I learn their own too. I mean, it's their own, not tongue twister too. I beg. Everybody should learn each other. So that's it. Thank you all for coming today. This show was brought to you by the Women's Growth Academy, and we are here every Tuesday at 6 p.m. delivering value back to back for you. In the month of May, we shall be focusing on our children. So we're going to be having conversations around the children and all of those things, just to celebrate children for the month of May. But we still have one more week in April and one more conversation about you and everything about your career this month. Thank you so much, Fikaya, for coming. We absolutely adore you. You were so amazing in this session. In fact, I don't know what I was expecting, but you blew my mind. So thank you
Thank you
so much. Please
so much.
show some love to our speaker, ladies. Show some
Everyone.
love. Tell her thank you. Thank you for coming. And so we'll see you next week. Take
Bye.
care. Bye, everyone. And I'll be saving the replay.